Alright, hey guys. So, I have my most popular video on my channel. Seems to be the "So you think you want a ball python" or "So you want a ball python" video. I wanted to take this one step further and make a "So you want a snake" video, okay? Because I see this a lot in forums, I see it a lot on Facebook. People will go out and get a snake and then post in forums, "What do I need for my snake? My snake's not eating, my snake's not doing this, my snake's not doing that. What do I need for my snake?" And it irritates me. You know, it's a living, breathing thing that you don't need to be experimenting on. Okay? So, alright, point one. So, you think you want a snake, okay? First thing you're going to want to do, hit the internet. It's a vast, open source of all the knowledge you could ever want. And decide what species of snake you want. Okay? There are a lot of good beginner species. Now, I've already stated my opinion that I don't believe ball pythons to be a beginner species, a beginner snake. They are temperamental. They will stop eating for no reason at all. They have to have very specific settings for their heat and their humidity and all that. Knocking stuff over trying to get a towel. They're just not a good snake, in my opinion, for a beginner, especially a young beginner. Alright? If you want my opinion, a western hognose, a corn snake, a king snake, something native to the United States. They are very hardy snakes. They have very rambunctious appetites. As you can see, it's feeding day, and they are ready. Actually, if you want to see somebody think it's feeding day, watch this. I gotta get her water too. Yeah, she thinks it's feeding day. Here's the tongs. Nothing even on the tongs. This is just the way she is. Come on, I'll feed you after this. Alright, so a colubrid species, they're very hardy, they have good appetites. They can tolerate temperature fluctuations and fluctuations in humidity because they're native to this country. So that's my opinion. So okay, but let's just say you do decide you want a ball python. Whatever, it's your choice. Not my, not my circus, not my monkeys. So now, instead of rushing out to your local PetSmart or your breeder and buying a ball python straight off the bat without knowing anything, research. Figure out what you're going to need for a cage. Do you plan on getting more than one? If so, a rack system might come in handy. If you're going to keep only one, do you want to keep it in a tank? Well, tanks have their pros and cons. I have a video on that subject if you want to see that video. Rack or tanks. Or sorry, tub or tank, that's what it was. Then go out. Pick up a cage, alright? Make sure it's a right cage. You don't want to keep a ball python in a fully screened enclosure. You don't want to keep a ball python in something like this. It's all glass with screen on top with more height than ground room. They're typically a terrestrial species. In fact, they like to hang out underground. You know, they prefer more ground space than they do. Yes, they will climb, but they actually prefer being on the ground and hiding. Alright? Now you've got your cage. How are you going to heat it? You're going to use a heating pad. That's perfectly acceptable. For a ball python especially. But make sure you get yourself a good thermostat, because those heating pads can go well over 100 degrees. You don't want your ball python at well over 100 degrees, unless you're looking to cook it. You know, you don't want your hog noses at over 100 degrees. So get yourself a thermostat, even if it's one of these, cheapy Zilla thermostat. It's not being used right now because I don't trust it with anything. I'm actually probably going to hook that up to my fish tank as a backup to the heater. Put the probe in there. I got to figure out if that's okay though, because I don't know if that's a submersible probe. Anyway, so then you've got your cage and your heating. What are you going to use for bedding? Bedding is not free. It's not expensive. A big brick, which will pretty much fill up one of these tubs, of aspen is like 13 bucks, and it lasts me quite a while. Especially if you spot clean. Sometimes you got to clean the whole tank. I have to do that soon. I actually do that today because she spilled her water in the corner. You don't want that to mold. Newspaper is practically free, but it's also got its hassles. It's very bad at keeping humidity. And if they spill their water dish, it just glues itself to the bottom of the tub. Think paper mache. Paper mache is glue in newspaper and water. All you're missing is the glue, and sometimes snake poop can act like that glue. Alright, so now you've got your bedding. Food. What are you going to feed it? You're going to feed live? You're going to feed frozen? If you have a collection my size, which is 18 animals, you don't want to be buying frozen rodents all the time, you know, at Petco at $2.99 a pop. I have everything from tiny pinky eaters up to adult mouse. So you're going to want to breed your own mice. Where are you going to breed them in a tank? Where are you going to get their food? Where are you going to get their bedding? You have to take care of them because mice are smelly. You don't want to have them in your bedroom like the snakes are in mine. Mice smell. I've got mine in my garage. And even keeping them clean, if I walk by my garage door, I can smell them. You know, I just cleaned them today, and the garage still smells like mice. It's just a fact of the hobby. So, cleaning them. Perfect example. Today is cleaning day. I'll be doing it after this video. No, she's not too bad. She's just got some sphagnum moss and some coconut fiber she knocked all over the place. Come on, get back in your tub. I'm going to feed you after this. I usually clean them and then I feed them. See, she spilled her water dish. Starting to look like it's getting a little moldy. And it doesn't take long. It's been like 110% humidity here, so that molded pretty quick. They get their chips in their water dishes. You know, that's a thing. Oh, I know why everybody's excited. I just got done cleaning the mice and I smell like mice. This is a recipe for disaster. So, this girl yesterday crapped right in her water dish. I cleaned that out. But she crapped directly in her water dish. And you gotta check that every day. You want to make sure they have water every day, that their water dish is clean every day. You know, it's a big responsibility. One snake, not that bad. 18 takes a little longer. So the biggest key thing here, though, I'm not trying to deter anybody from getting a snake. It's a great hobby. It's awesome. And also, believe it or not, you can keep them as pets without having to breed them. I breed because I want certain projects. I want certain animals that are way outside my price range right now. So I have the ingredients to make them. It's going to take a couple years. If I sell a couple babies along the way, cool. You can also breed to get into it as a business. I tried that at first. It became too stressful, and I let the dollar signs cloud my eyes, and the green monster, greed, cloud my judgment, and it ended poorly. Pretty much, you know, I lost my ball python collection. So, they were given to somebody else by choice, and then most of them ended up dying because of that sickness that swept through the collection. So, you gotta know too that you can invest a lot in them and get nothing in return. It's not the stock market. It's not a job. It's not, well, I mean, it is a job, but it's not concrete. It's not a definite paycheck. Ask any breeder out there, they know. You know, you could have a prize animal. This is one of my favorite animals right here. I'm hoping she produces a lot of eggs for me. I could wake up tomorrow morning and she could be dead for no reason. Perfectly healthy animal, dead overnight. It does happen. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm not trying to deter anybody from getting a snake. I just want to emphasize being prepared ahead of time. Get your cage, get your bedding, get your water dishes. Have a local vet. Very important. Know where a herp vet is. Because if you see bubbles coming out of your snake's mouth and you don't get that snake to the vet, it's going to die. It's probably, I mean, I've heard some stories of people cranking the heat and treating it themselves, but there's a very good chance it's gonna die if you don't treat it. You know, there are some nasty viruses and bacteria out there that can wipe out entire collections. I know from personal experience. You know, and then you've got the regular hassles of the snake doesn't want to eat, so you got to monitor its health to make sure it's okay. You know, just everyday little things. Heat tape burning out. Had that happen. Luckily, I was in the room and I was able to turn off the heat tape, but I've heard of places burning down. Pro Exotics lost all of their collection except for 2 animals, probably close to $1 million worth of snakes, because heat tape lit their place on fire. The heat tape burned out, it lit the building on fire. You know, that was brutal. It does happen, but I'm not saying it's going to, but it does. So just if you want a snake, do your research, get everything ahead of time, then get the animal. Put it in its enclosure. Leave it alone for a week. Don't go shoving food in its face hoping it's going to eat. A lot of these guys, a lot of the hog noses will eat the day I get them home. You know, get them home from the expo, put them in quarantine, they'll eat. They'll eat every other day if you let them. Some of them will. But a lot of ball pythons, you know, think about it. Especially babies. They were born. They've had maybe 4 or 5 meals. Some breeders do 10. Then they're put in a box or whatever, driven to a show, put under bright lights with tons of people and sounds and smells that they don't know, and then shoved in a bag, brought home in somebody's car, put in a new tank by somebody who wants to hold them all the time and take them out and handle them and play with them. And they're freaking out because they're a nocturnal species that wedges itself in termite mounds and stays underground for most of their life. They're an ambush feeder. They wait for things to come to them and then they eat them. They usually don't hunt very often unless they're really hungry. They're an ambush feeder, and people don't, you know, then they go on the forums and they're, my snake won't eat. Well, yeah, it's stressed the hell out. So, I'm done ranting. This is actually quite a long video, but I just wanted to put this video out there, you know. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I like, you know, helping people, but again, don't... Oh, that's the other thing that gets on my nerves too, is people come ask me for help, and then they do the exact opposite of what I tell them. I had a guy come to me and ask me, he's like, hey, would this cage work for a ball python? It was a screened, one of those screen cages you get for a chameleon, and I told him, I was like, no, you're not going to be able to put the humidity, hold the humidity in that. The next day, he posts a picture of a snake that he just got in that cage of a ball python. Literally less than 24 hours after I told him that was a bad idea. You know, that's, you don't come ask for my help and then do exactly the opposite of what I told you to do. It's just a slap in my face, you know. And I don't mind helping people, I'm all about it, but if you're not going to listen to me, then don't bother asking for my help. That's just my opinion. I think I covered all the points I wanted to cover in this video, but most of all, emphasize yet again, be prepared. Prepare ahead of time, then get your animal. You know, you don't want to be experimenting. You don't just go have a baby, and, you know, most people don't just drop babies out and then learn how to take care of a baby along the, you know, after the baby's born. Most people do a lot of reading, you know, what to expect when you're expecting. Well, what to expect when you get a snake. There you go. So, otherwise though, the biggest thing, and here we go, besides being prepared, the biggest thing is enjoy your snakes. Enjoy your animals. They are a fun hobby. Be passionate, you know. Little hiss boxes there, my hog noses. These guys are a blast. I love opening the tubs and hearing the symphony of hissing. In fact, here, this is one of my favorites. He's the most reactive. Yeah. Say hi. See? This is just what he does. He just hisses. He never bites. He just hisses up a storm, and then I pick him up, and he's perfectly fine. So, alright, I'm done. This is a long video, and I'm going to cut it off here. Out.